Yeah, I tune him and he's out of tune. What's up, y'all? Today's the 6th of October, 2025. I could just sit here and play, you know. And I love that ukulele strum. It's like a sigh of relief, you know. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it because it's one of those things you can only experience yourself. You know, you can't. There's a lot of things in life that you can't explain to other people. You know, not fully. You can't have somebody fully understand what you feel or what you know what you know. You know, I said last episode. This is episode 165 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Just podcast, not pie podcast necessarily, but the last episode 164. I talked about how unless it was 163, one of the past couple, episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ here. Welcome. What's up? My name's Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Man. But I was talking about, the past few days even, not even just the past week, but just the past few days. It's been this like acceleration. Calling it as it is, in my own body's workings, as we do, right? Under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, one of our fours is we allow the human body to work. We do it through clothing, and I'll talk about it. I talk about each of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company in our intro, and then I talk about where clothing sits, and then we really get into the discussion, and we'll do that. It's one of those things I can't explain to people, but you can see it. It's what I say. It's as real as it gets. It's as obvious as yeah. It's real. It's just that's what I mean. I kind of want to just sit here and play guitar. I mean, I don't even know if I want to get talking yet. Maybe we just kind of hang out and play with little Red the guitar here. I don't know how to explain it, man. That's a good thing, It's those kind of things in life. It's like love, you can't explain it, but you know. It's like faith. You can't really explain it, but you know. If you know, you know, and you know. So, man, it's one of those settlings, kind of. That's what it is. So let's play some ukulele stuff. So, I mean, what's up, y'all? I think this might be how it is, Who knows? Unpredictable, right? Unorthodox and untraditional. It's like a fishing hole. You just take a cast in and you never know what you're going to get back. Then you catch it and now it's a fish flopping around, the flip-flop kind of life. You know what I'm trying to say? I like it. Hey, what's up? We're in this episode 165 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The title is actually Little But Often. And I'll talk about it because of all the reasons I do, okay? But there's a lot of things in life. Here's a little preface on what this will be before we do the intro, and then we'll get into the discussion. Where we do them, things in life. There's a lot of things in life. There's a beautiful guitar in my hand. I don't know. I got this like urge to just kind of keep playing. I used to. That's what I'm saying, bro. Crazy things with nylon strings from me. Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. It's like a cup of tea. It warms your heart a bit. You're all in it just for a minute or two. You're in it with me, dude. So get back to it. It's like a movement. You know I do it. Out here changing people's lives with clothing. You know these things that we've been sowing. Lots of seeds and things are starting to grow, you see. I've been seeing some things. In the Image Clothing Company music, please check it out. A lot of times I sit here and shout. Lyricism off the top, we call it metronome madness. That's it. It's just a little bit of this, a hat trick, doing it 3 times. The third try is the best. I've been trying things like the rest. The angle that I've been tangled in is a triangle, Bermuda, getting lost in some things that I need to be stuck inside of. Yeah, eternal life, cuz. What's up? Freestyles. This is different. It's a little bit different approach. I'm gonna show this. This is what it is, bro. Right. Nah, this is as real as it gets. So this is a letter that I got in the mail. This is actually the first piece of In the Image Clothing Company mail I ever got. Yeah. So what actually happened is I purchased InTheImageClothingCompany.com, the domain, last year. It was probably the 24th of September 2024. It would have been, because it actually expired on the 25th of September 2025, which was, about 10-ish, give or take, days ago from today. I didn't renew it yet, so I'll just have to pay like a fee, for letting it expire, basically. But I purchased InTheImageClothingCompany.com at that time, September 24th, 2025. It pretty much would have had to have been from, domain services, domain name services. This, I can show this, just an envelope. Yeah, right. There you go. So I did, right? And a big part of that was just to, kind of like a insurance policy to a degree. Well, okay, and we're going to make an episode. I will. Don't hold me to it. If I don't do it, then hey. But I will. I've got it, unless I don't, right? Written in my notes, though. Insurance policy, an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because there's a lot of things that I could speak on with that. Not like actual insurance, and like the legal system, but kind of like this insurance, as far as what we do under In the Image Clothing Company. I document so many things under video, the gift of video. We always will. I'm in this for life as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. That's just how I word my role in this, right? The leader of this for at least my entire life. All 4 sides of us, man. We'll get into it, but yeah, I don't want to be like all prideful like that, but we do a lot, and we always will, and we're actually, like I'm saying, we just kind of crossed the threshold, and it just is what it is. Look at the time stamps on the things that I do as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. That's what I'm saying. Is insurance policy. A lot of what that means is man, you imagine if I just ended up titling this one insurance policy instead of little but often? I'm gonna do that. Why not? I came into this a little bit different than normally. Let's change this up. All right, you heard how certain I was about it, and then I said, like, hey, don't hold me to it, but I will, this is it. So I'm sorry for saying that this was titled Little But Often. We'll probably do that, probably, one day. This is actually the one that is titled Insurance Policy, episode 165 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. All right, the rest of this episode has just changed from what I thought it was going to be coming into this. No, but that's good, because I've been planning on this for quite a few days. A lot of what I do that we could discuss as being an insurance policy is like how I started saying, what's up, y'all? Today is, and for this one, today's date is the 6th of October, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. And then I get into it, okay? I do that on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company as well. On In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we almost certainly do that with almost every video that we make, where it makes sense to, intro things like that and say the date verbally. And a big part of it is because it's essentially like having an insurance policy, meaning we're authentic here in the Image Clothing Company. We're unique in what we do. Our information comes from me, the founder. It comes from personal revelation, praying to God, and it comes from trial and error. It comes from personal experience. So the big thing is I'm learning as I go, and we do things that are eternal. They're actual eternal things. They apply to every single human being on the face of the earth. Our information applies to all dogs, at least, the things that are apart from just being poodle specific. And, we talk about it where we do, but as long as I get into saying the intro, which is just a discussion on each of the four sides of us and where clothing sits somewhere in here before storage space runs out, for example, then, I'll have that context placed there for this episode specifically. But yes, 165 in the Image Clothing Company podcast. This is the one. This is insurance policy, the title, because that's what this was essentially. I didn't want anybody to take the name In the Image Clothing Company as I word it, right? Our 5-word name as a whole, and try to use it, and then not have me have any way that I could dispute it. Like, no, I've been actually doing things under this name for longer than this other person. If somebody, not to be like worried, right? We don't need to fear anything like this. God is above all. And really, I'm serving God by having this company. I'm doing all that I can to be following God's will and praying through everything that I do through this. Even just having it be the name In the Image Clothing Company. I mean, there's 5 words as a whole, but the first 3, right? That's where it comes from, is our bodies are designed in the image of Jesus Christ. That's a big name, the biggest of names that there ever could be. And so I'm trying to do things as properly as I can, being an imperfect human being. It's just what we do. We oh my gosh. Just talk about synchronicities as far as things lining up in the middle of this. I mean, I'll show this more what it is, but in the middle of this letter, it says 165 right there, which, it says TC. I don't know. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine to show. I just want to show like, credit card information or something on here, but there isn't any. They're just asking for payment with a blank spot for you to put, information in like that. No, but yeah, it says 165 right there. That's the episode of this. That's the number of this episode in the Image Clothing Company podcast. I came into this different, and this is a big one, because that's what I did. Is I wanted to make sure that I purchased the name, at least in some way. I haven't yet trademarked In the Image Clothing Company, and I'm not, guaranteeing as of right now that we even will. That just kind of means that nobody else can use our 5-word name, for anything that they do really legally, at least in the ways that would come about by having a registered trademark. Well, we might do that, and I might just never do it. At first, I really thought that it was going to be an important thing to do. I almost did it. I didn't have enough money at the time. I still haven't had enough money to do that since. But that's okay. It doesn't need to be done maybe ever, and at least not yet. It hasn't needed to be done. So what I did, though, is purchase InTheImageClothingCompany.com, right? Our 5-word company name as a whole, and then .com. Because then it's in the system, right? Then it's in the legal system. Like, hey, well, this guy, at least has been operating under this name in some form since, if it really was a year before this expiration date, which is September 24th, 2025, then yeah, September 23rd. No, because I'll explain why I said 23rd. September 24th, 2024, because it was the 23rd of September, 2024. When we actually launched this, when I made the launch video and I said, look, we are now officially In The Image Clothing Company. We went from somewhere around 75 videos on just me at the time discussing under my own name, Evan Strong, how the human body works and why clothing's not letting it, right? To now we're actually a company, and we're going to make this thing a big thing, and I'm going to do this, and now I'm in it for life. And then all of a sudden, holy cow, it's been a year, and now we're where we are, and it's amazing. Truly amazing. So, yeah, that's a big thing. I guess showing this, documenting that I did pay this. If you see what I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. I paid for our name, kind of as an insurance policy, like I'm saying, just so, it's like, look, it's like what I say. We've been doing the exact same thing, saying the exact same things since the very, very start, since the very, very founding. And a lot of times people make those claims, but maybe they stole information from somebody else, or they stole somebody's entire company, and then somehow they just put it under their own name, and then, claimed that it was them the whole time. It's these things. This is what I mean, insurance policy in this sense, and we can get into talking about it in all the ways that we do in here, and we will to the degree that we do, but InTheImageClothingCompany.com, yeah, I mean, I purchased, just trying to see if there's anything that really shouldn't be seen by just any public eye, but yeah, there you go. That'll show you enough to see it. Yeah, so anyway, part of it was just kind of cool, it was like, man, yeah, yeah, I'll show this. This is just the return envelope. Just for this is where I purchased the name from, I guess. I mean, this right here is the insurance policy as well, just showing that this exists. Yeah. See what I mean? I'm not, having false expectations. I've been saying since the very, very, very beginning of all this. Shoot. Too much confidence? No, you'll see that In The Image Clothing Company is and always will be huge. What we do here is something that I know as the founder. I've referenced this line by the musician, singer, rapper, songwriter, producer, mix master, engineer, Russ. There was a line that he said one time, and he said, you either see the vision or division. Which one is it? It was just within his song, so it kind of went nice and good with the beat that he made to it, And I've got the vision for all this, and I've known since the very start it's going to be huge, and just, seeing the transformation in my own physical body, all that in itself is part of the insurance policy, where how else could this happen, It's undeniable. I don't need to try to explain to you anything. If you can just look, even just, we can call them thumbnails, right? The little photographs that are placed there, like a little snippet taken out of the video of the visual plus audio part of In The Image Clothing Company podcast episodes. If you just look through those and look from episode 1 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast to, well, today's date, right? This is the most current one as of right now that I'm saying this, episode 165. you can just see my face and my physical body, my mechanical operation, right? And it has changed so much, the way that I can articulate my words. And I've said this, and it's not being redundant, because this is what we are. This is what we do, is allow the human body to work on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, one of our fourths. Right, if you know, you know. And if I get a chance to say our full intro in here somewhere, even though it's an intro, sometimes it's not at the beginning necessarily in our videos. Sometimes, right? Podcast episodes under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, I kind of just sneak it in where I can, depending on which one it is. So the point is, there's a lot of things that I'm doing with this that are essentially an insurance policy. For those of you that don't know what an insurance policy is, it's like if something goes wrong, you're covered by a lot of times a company, right? You'll pay a company a little bit of money a month, or each year you'll pay them a certain amount of money. And when I say a little bit of money, sometimes it's pretty pricey to have insurance on things. But like for a vehicle, if you wreck your vehicle, you've been paying this company to insure you, or to kind of cover problems that could come up. That's what insurance really is. We could boil it down to the word covering. It's a covering, right? Like covering your assets, covering your self, really, in a sense. And that's the thing, is God is our insurance policy. God is my witness. God is the all-searching eye. God is the truth. That's one of the names for God, is just the truth. And so the truth is, we have so many videos where I have documented me verbally saying the date in them, and then you can see my body's physical transformation as well as it goes along. You can see my growth in the way that I can explain what I do, what In the Image Clothing Company really is, what I founded it to be, and you can see things line up, right? So all these things that I'm explaining right here are our insurance policy in these ways, right, under In the Image Clothing Company, without ever having to pay for insurance. These are things that you couldn't deny, right? I can't claim that a video that I made a year ago was only made yesterday, and nobody else could either, right? On either end of whatever reason we would be, because you can see how different I physically am through the truth that we explain under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, when we deeply discuss the anatomy of the human body and get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue. Right, so these are the things that I have done, and I've been very intentional in doing so, to be our insurance policy. This is one of them, right? This little paper, and even just showing it in this one episode, I can refer people back. Check out episode 165 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast if you'd like, when we're on episode like 600 or whatever, right? And be like, yeah, I showed the letter. No, I hadn't renewed it at the time, but, I had at least been operating under the name of In the Image Clothing Company since a year before the expiration date of when I purchased a full year of the domain name InTheImageClothingCompany.com. Okay. Yeah, and then the company too, and the address of where they sent it out from, right? And, I mean, it's as real as it is, right? That's a return envelope they sent me. Like, that's what I mean. It's these simple little things that are insurance policies, and we just do things so simple, right? We talk about how just simple life is, and it is. It really is. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast actually titled "It's Only as Complicated as You Make It." And that's the truth. Both those things. There's an episode titled that, and that's just how it is, right? We need very simple things in life, and our insurance policy is being one of those things that sometimes we kind of need, in ways. But even if that's just God being our witness and relying on Him to make things right in the ways that He needs it, it's simple. Life is simple, man. Praying to God, saying, "Hey, I think I have an idea of how this should go, but regardless, having faith that God has it, because He's above all. If we're doing our best to serve Him, He'll have the outcome be what He needs it to be, even if it's not what we thought it should have been or what we wanted. But doing our part is stuff like this, and it's fairly simple too. That's how we'll show it, dude. I'll show. I've never founded a company. I've never been a company leader, right? I've never owned a company. I've never ran a company, and I've never never done this until this, and I'm never going to do it again because this is my lifelong company. I'm in this for life, but it's kind of like my, you know, first time doing any of this at all. Truly, I mean, it just is. And as I go, it's little simple things like this, and this is how it will always be. That's what I'm saying. Is I'll do it all so simply, right? In the Image Clothing Company, clothing will always be minimal, simple, light, do everything clothing. The ways that we breed our standard purebred poodles, it will always be so simple and streamlined and easy. Right? Just simple. And that's a big thing of what we can show in all that we do. That's another thing that we do is showing just, it doesn't have to be so hard, you know? You don't have to do things the way that the world does things. Being in the world and not of the world. It's like, yeah, we can really show how big we can be in all the ways that we just need to be big in proper ways rather than being like just, some huge corporation, big impact wise and big with, the spread and the truth of all this, while keeping it so simple at the same time, right? It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complicated, I guess, is the point. It can be hard, right? Life's hard in times, but oh shoot, that reminds me of an episode title that I was gonna write down that I could film. Yeah. If I remember later, I'll remember. But the point is, it's our insurance policy. These things that I do, even just something as simple as, how I intro it. What's up, y'all? Today is and then say the date. Okay, because then any information we were ever talking about at any certain date that was before anybody else could potentially claim that they came up with the information and then try to kind of steal our company's idea in a sense. And I just meaning, and I'm not worried about those things, but at the same time I'm doing what we could call my due diligence, right? I am documenting things very, very well, actually, without tooting my own horn in a way where I'm trying to toot my own horn, because I'm just doing that. I'm documenting things very, very well. That's why I'm doing this as I'm doing it. That's why we are what we are. So anyway, the insurance policy, it's like, hey, by the way, there's no question of how long we've been saying these things. There's no question of if we've been saying the same thing since the founding, because you can look back to our founding. It's public. It's all through video. It's placed in the public eye, if you will. I mean, everything that we do, we'll try to do all that we can to have it be transparent and open, in all the ways that we can do that, because God knows anyway. We only lie to ourselves and God. We can't lie to anyone else. Us lying to someone else is just us doing one of those first two things, and really both of them. Anytime you lie to yourself, you're also lying to God. Yeah, He knows everything anyway, right? And I'm imperfect, and we got to remember that. but but the big thing is, I've been doing some things along the way, before anything ever really happens sales wise or breeding wise with the dogs, or event wise with poodle parades or any events. I mean, because we'll have events on the ways that we do. You'll see. And I've been kind of wording it like that because I don't know how to exactly put it into words, because I don't know exactly how they're going to look. Other than poodle parade events, I know how those are going to be, and they're going to be awesome. Okay, but talking about it all before it happens is our insurance policy. Okay, laying this whole foundation is our insurance policy. There's no question that we're doing the same thing since the founding. There's no question on when we started talking about something. There's no question on how this came to be, because I'm just documenting my journey. I've worded it before on, how a lot of this is just kind of like Evan Strong's journal entries. And I don't want to put the focus on myself, but just as the founder, it's like, hey, I've learned more about what we do and how to do it better. So here you go, information, right? It's just like writing in a journal, a lot of the things that we do. And that's the insurance policy, is stuff you can look back on and you don't have to question. And nobody can dispute it either. But that's the really big thing. Like I was saying, God is the truth. And that's our real insurance policy, is we talk about things and it's like, well, do you listen to Evan Strong or his company? Do you listen to anybody at the team under In the Image Clothing Company? Do you believe what they're doing here? They're talking about things that don't really make so much sense to a lot of people who don't understand what they're doing. Well, the insurance policy of, do you believe us or not, right? I mean, are we insured as far as, is our information okay to be saying, even though even though whatever and a third whatever that anybody could come up with, it's like, well, it's what I say all the time. Don't believe me. Truth is truth. The insurance policy behind us giving information and maybe it potentially being harmful to somebody or something is, well, don't listen to some kid on the internet. Don't listen to me and just blindly do it. But truth is truth. If we just give you information on something and you try it somewhere in your life, when I say somewhere in your life, I mean anybody on the whole earth. All human beings, the exact same thing, designed in the image of God, right? And when I talk about where clothing sits, I say man, woman, tall or short, skinny or fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Your clothing has to sit in this location. And then I discuss just where clothing sits for all those humans, which is every single person to ever live, right? That's the insurance policy is, don't believe me, try it. Don't get upset with me thinking that I gave you some stretch routine or some workout routine or some crazy thing to do and you damaged your body because of it. My insurance policy is I'm just a kid behind a camera and you don't have an obligation to listen to me. So don't if you don't want to. And don't do it if it doesn't work. But we just talk about things as they are. We're just imperfect and sometimes we don't explain things exactly correct. But that's kind of what I mean about our insurance policy of this being authentic, of where our information's coming from, is out of, seriously, I mean this in the most like reverent way. It's coming through revelation. I don't mean to sound like some prophet. That's why I say it like that. Like I want to approach this correct in a reverent way. That feels like the word to use there, is because I just mean we all have the ability to get personal revelation from God, meaning being personally revealed things to by our ever-present creator. I've just been praying through all this, and yeah, I've never taken any kind of like classes, biology classes, anatomy classes, nothing like this, but I really, 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 and don't believe me, but it's the truth. You can just see it in the way that I discuss things so deep on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. I really, really, really know how the human body works. Because we discuss it as it is. It's just a mechanical machine. It only has the motions it does. It's got neutrals and everything. There's a center line to it. There's a sternum, a spine, a trachea, a nose, and a jaw. The jaw is naturally stabilizing the whole body. There's a neutral to all the rotations. There's a neutral to the height of the shoulders. There's a neutral to where the jaw sits. There's a neutral to the hips and the ankles and, just the whole body on Earth's gravity has a center line. I mean, we just talk about it as it is. There's no way it couldn't be what it is. We might not be explaining it exactly word for word correct, but what we're saying is just, well, look at the thing. This is how it works. It's just a body. Our insurance policy is you have one yourself. Don't believe me. I can't even tell you something wrong about your own body. You have one. Don't believe me about it. Like, figure it out yourself. What I mean by that is take our information and just be like, oh, wow, is this correct? Right? And that's what it means to have faith is you try, you taste and see, and then you find out that the Lord is good, right? That's what it says. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Don't believe someone it is, taste it, right? Like Lehi's dream in the Book of Mormon. He tasted the fruit that was white and pure above any pureness and whiteness he'd ever seen from this tree of life, right? The tree of life is essentially the tree of truth, the tree of God, the tree of eternal. And he took the fruit and he tasted it and he's like, this fruit was sweeter than any fruit that could ever be. And he just wanted everybody to know it. What that really means is when we know the truth, we want to share it with everybody. So that's what I'm doing here. But hey, guess what? I'm imperfect. And I don't discuss things all exactly correct in every moment that I say anything. Ever. At all. Okay, because at the beginning I wasn't saying stuff quite. I want to phrase this correct. I wasn't explaining things quite correct. I was talking about things the same. I was still saying clothing sits in the same location. We still had the same two prerequisites we do under In the Image Clothing Company. I mean, it was all the same at the beginning, but my understanding of it to the depth of what it now is wasn't quite there yet. So I was explaining some things because I remember saying that the knee is a very simple hinge joint. That's one of those things. I look back and like, that's not correct. There's a lot of rotations in the lower leg. But I wasn't misleading people other than just saying that one thing was incorrect. That was definitely wrong. But I wasn't misleading anybody with information because you still have to lace and tie your shoes correct. Your feet still have to be flat on the earth, Your pants still have to sit in the same location. Pant cuffs still have to be off the ankles. The knee still has to track in line with the feet pointing forward, right? I was still saying things right, but then to a degree, I just didn't have the depth of understanding that I do now. And anytime that I continually deepen my understandings of things, I will maybe not have explained something quite, to the depth of what it is, quite fully accurately at one point that I just don't know as much about that I do, as time progresses. But it's the main gist of it, and it's really what's going on. I was saying the same thing. I was saying correct things from the very, very beginning. Yeah, you know. And so this is what I mean. This is my insurance policy is you don't have to even care. And that's what I say often is if you yeah, if you don't care, I don't care. You don't have to care is another thing I say, but clothing is altering your body regardless. Like you don't have to care about having your clothing fit, but there's only one way your body works. And if you just place something man-made onto it that's not accommodating for the only way your body can mechanically function, just with neutrals and joints, with just operations. I call it a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, but it's also just a machine that exchanges gases. We breathe in oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. It's a machine that pumps blood like a plumber's system. What do you call it? Plumbing, yeah, through the body, right? The circulatory system, blood just gets pumped through it, and it just has to do that correct. It's just a machine in all the ways, right? The brain is just an electrical system sending signals out through the whole body and in the nervous system of the body. It's just a machine. And so the point is, our insurance policy here is, well, it doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong, but if I'm saying things that are correct, listen to that. Otherwise, don't even care if you don't want to. And if I'm saying things wrong, who doesn't, right? I mean, even your orthopedic surgeon who's gone to 8+ years of schooling, or your physical therapist or chiropractor, they're still giving you false information here and there, and maybe they might not even know, and you hear how much I'm stuttering. This is so real because it's not only maybe, but that's what I say is we talk about things that are actually permanent fixes that even people like chiropractors and physical therapists, orthopedic surgeons, personal trainers, right, your yoga coach, or your sports team coaches, whoever it is, man, right? Yeah, anybody like that in that kind of field, a lot of these people don't actually know what's really going on. They might know how the body should work, but maybe they don't know how to get it there, so they're giving you a lot of false information, not on purpose, but of exercises you should do or whatever. Anyway, the point is the body would work if nothing was placed on it. We place clothing on it, so we just have to know how to do that without altering it. Designed to work. An episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Our bodies are designed in the image of God to go across the earth and just work. They just do until they get altered by something. And really, it should be the word unless. And that's where we come in giving the truth. Okay, and so this is what I'm saying. Our insurance policy is these things, I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm doing as an insurance policy, I guess, as I go and as I document. Just the documentation alone is our insurance policy. And a big thing is ensuring, if you will, that this company lasts is... This is what I mean. Truth is truth, man. Episode 2 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is titled that. Truth is truth. That's the utmost insurance. That's what I mean. God, the truth himself, that's the insurance policy. That's the highest and holiest insurance policy you're ever going to get. Is if you're speaking the truth, well, it's the same. Yesterday, today, and forever. So that's what I say when I mention out those 9 things, and then the last one, the 10th is, if you're a human being. After all the man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Well, that 9th one that I say, if I say it in that order, any time period to ever be, I've said it like that before. That's our insurance policy, is there's just truth. As far as the information we give under In the Image Clothing Company, of the goal being natural, of letting the body do its thing, allowing the body to work, our key phrase and episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The only thing you can do, because it's impossible, hear that correct? Anything's possible. Yeah, except for things that aren't. Anything's possible to God, but I mean, there's physically impossible things. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Physically Impossible. There's things that are physically impossible, like just opposing universal laws that God put in place, like gravity in ways, and just physics in the ways that it just has its laws, and you can't like do things opposing certain things. I mean, that is the case. I know it seems like such an optimistic thing to say that anything is possible, and sure, God could override anything except for his own word, but he's not going to, just for the sake of us like wanting something to be possible. Do you see what I mean? What I'm saying with that is, truth is truth. The body's a mechanical machine. It's designed in the image of God. It's been the same forever. I mean, we can dig human beings up that have been mummified from, thousands of years ago. It's the same as nowadays. And then, anytime going forth, we're human beings. We're designed by God. So our insurance policy to ensure that our company is valid and eternal, meaning we will always be able to have this be what it is, right? The information we gave at the very founding, at least anything and everything that's ever correct, anytime we ever say anything under In the Image Clothing Company, if it is truth, because there is universal truth, we live in a crazy world. A lot of crazy people think they can make their own truth. You are delusional. I don't get to decide truth, and neither do you. Talk about gravity, one of those things that we talk about a lot, right? There's a center of gravity. You can't have your own truth that you just don't want to, have to obey the laws of gravity. Truth is apart from all of us. Truth is God. And the truth is, as long as we're saying things that really are just how they are, anytime and anytime ever under In the Image Clothing Company, then it's eternal, valid information. And so a video that I made, even like at the very, very, very beginning, let's say, September 23rd, 2024, our actual founding date, when I sat there and said, look, we're now this name, In the Image Clothing Company. I stood in that field with the soccer goal tripod, right? Yeah. That will all be valid forever. Okay? So that's our insurance policy. Because there's a lot of companies out there that are valid because of a certain time period. They're valid because of a fad, if you will, or a phase. Similar words, meaning something that's only popular because people want it to be for like a few months or a few years or something. There's things that happen like that, toys that are so popular. It seems like everybody's got it until like 4 months down the road, right? People forgot that it even existed. Or games, that people play. So popular until another game comes out. It's like, it wasn't eternal. It wasn't truth. It wasn't forever. It was just a fad or a phase. Our insurance policy is every body, catch the phrasing, has one. Every one on the earth has a human body. That's what In the Image Clothing Company is founded on, is allowing the only gift we've been given by God, promised that we can't lose in this life because it is our physical life, our human bodies, to work, right? We allow them to work. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Only Thing That We Have. It is our bodies. Everything else comes and goes if and when it does, but if our bodies go, so does our whole life, and then we have no opportunity to get anything else in this life because we no longer have it. Okay. But that's the thing, right? That's our insurance policy is forever. As long as we're given information that's valid, it's valid even if we filmed it like 30 years ago, right? Like let's say 29 years down the road, videos I was making last year in 2024, yeah, they're just as valid. Okay, that's our insurance policy is truth. You align anything you ever do in life with God, meaning truth, meaning things as they are, meaning unchanging, meaning eternal, meaning, yeah, all opinions aside. So who's really right then? Is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And I said, nobody. Doesn't matter if anyone's right or wrong, but truth is still there. In the beginning, everything was there before we were, right? Shoot. Truth is truth. So the point is, that's our insurance policy, is just trying to align everything with God. That's a tall order, right? And that's why I say and make it clear, we're imperfect. We're definitely not perfect. We are imperfect human beings. Right? I say it, we discuss our God as he says that he is, although we don't do it perfectly, in the Image Clothing Company podcast. That's what we do on that fourth of our company. Any other time that I say it, it's usually on the main side that I'm referencing this side. Okay, this one of our fourths. Golly, shoot. This is what I'm saying is that's how we really do this. That's how we last. That's how we stay forever. And there's some companies out there that haven't really changed what they do, and it's been like, a long time. They've been around for like 100 years, and their products are just as simple as they were when they started. It's like because they're good, because they work. That's all you need to do is have things work. A lot of things nowadays don't work so well. A lot of people come up with a bunch of different company ideas on things that are conditional to a time period, like I'm saying, or conditional to people like being interested in something. But that's the whole thing about in the Image Clothing Company. Nobody's ever gonna not have a body. Nobody will never have a body. Okay, and even if we never sold an item of clothing, yeah, there's so much that we do, and if you know, you know. If not, stick around or check out what we do already as of today's date, because, the whole company could be exactly what it is without us ever selling a single item of clothing, because up until today's date, we still don't have any In The Image Clothing Company clothing available yet. We don't need to yet. That's what I mean. Free modifications that we give in clothing, allowing the body to work, can be modified no matter how your clothing is designed. You just need to know how your clothing needs to sit on your body. And then just us giving this information, that in itself is an entire company. And then, all that we do, that's what I'm saying. Just stuff that will always be what it is, like letting dogs stay natural under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. There's always dogs. They always need to just be natural, because there's only natural. Yeah. Man. I'm almost like crying in a way that I can't even fully explain how I'm feeling, because, well, you can just tell if you know anything about at least past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. They're not quite like this normally. They haven't been, at least. It's entirely different. I'm in a different state of this now. Like I said, it's like we crossed a threshold with this, and we're really in this. Okay. And the way that we are, that's what I'm saying. That's how that's why I'm wording it as we've crossed a threshold. That's how I'm doing that, is similar to how episode 100 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast was titled Laying a Foundation. Because this is what I mean is, we have now so much documentation on who we are and what we do, that's what this episode is. And that's why I switched it. I didn't even think this was going to be what I was filming right now. I thought I would film this at some point, but that's our insurance policy. Is I've already documented all of our information, so now down the road, I would never have to explain anything that I've already explained in a video before. We've already got it covered. See what I mean? I've already covered these topics. Like I said, an insurance is kind of like a covering, right? Like being covered by something. Well, we're covered. Yeah, we're covered, man. God is our covering, right? Uh, yeah. I can't put it into words, man, and that's good. That's what I'm saying. I started out with this was all right. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like love. It's like faith. It's something you can't put into words. It just is what it is. That's what truth is. It's like the truth is I love you. Regardless of if I show it how you think it should be shown, or regardless of if you think that I do, regardless if I don't even want to believe that I do. If you love someone, you love someone. Truth is truth. That's what I'm saying here is that's what I'm feeling right now is just God's presence, the truth himself. That's the whole thing about this being, a good episode to have is our insurance policy is, it doesn't matter. If I even think I'm saying anything that matters, or if you think we're saying things under In the Image Clothing Company that are invalid, our insurance policy is it true? If so, then cool. If not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, who cares? If it's wrong, it's wrong. But everything that we talk about here that really is just as it is, it can never change. Things are just what they are. I mean, that's a hard thing for a lot of people to accept, but it's the truth. And that's where we really get insured, okay? Yeah. I'm just so grateful, man. Just at such a beautiful place with this, I went to the shelter today, hung out with this, what I think was a Labradoodle. Big dude, standard size poodle mixed with a lab, if that's what he was. I thought at first he was a golden doodle, which is a golden retriever mixed with a lab, but I don't think so. Pretty sure he was a Labradoodle. No, what a golden doodle is a golden retriever mixed with a poodle. Yeah. But, I say it often, just the phrases we say, and now they're kind of becoming like a more present tense type of thing, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes. I made a video with a dog in a shelter today, and I placed it on the Image Clothing Company Poodles, right? It's what I mean is I've been talking about how the human body only has one way that it ever works, and now my body works entirely different than it did within the patternings I was stuck in, and the scar tissue I was stuck in. We've crossed the threshold because of the work I've put in up until now, and it's undeniable. That's what I mean. My insurance policy, if anybody asks, like, have you actually put in any work in your company? I'm like, yeah, you look it up. Don't even ask me. Look it up. Look at it. That's my insurance policy is you check. Don't even ask me. Don't ask me what I've done. Go find out. You cannot deny it. That's our insurance policy. That's what I mean. Truth is truth. You can talk it up to be whatever you want. Like, yeah, dude, I've got this crazy. I'll finish saying that, but first, let me explain this. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled "Do More, Say Less," meaning don't talk about it, just do it, and then you've done it, and nobody can dispute it. And that's what I'm saying is we've crossed the threshold of there's no dispute on how much I've done up until this point. You got a question on if I've really been working? I haven't had an actual job for about 3 years, but look up the 5-word name In the Image Clothing Company. You can look up Evan Strong and you'll find it because I'm the founder if you're asking about me. But that's my insurance policy. Don't let me try to tell you if I've been working or not. You can't dispute what's there. You can't dispute truth. You can't dispute God. I mean, it just is what it is. And so this is our insurance policy. This is what I mean is I can sit here and read you stuff from a textbook and pretend that I know something, or maybe really know something that somebody else wrote. But maybe somebody else read it from somewhere else and then wrote it down and it wasn't quite how it was the first time or whatever, It's secondhand information times 3 more hands. All of a sudden you're up to the height of a horse with who knows. They measure horse height in hands, right? I'm just saying, like, a lot of people are just saying stuff. And I couldn't even possibly be just saying things because it's lining up, right? That's our insurance policy is truth. I could just keep saying it. That's what it comes down to is, does it work? If not, who cares? Don't listen to us. If it works, there you go. You know, it's like that whole thing, if it's not broke, don't fix it. People say that, right? If something's not broken, you don't need to do anything to address trying to fix it. But also, you know, it's kind of like being innocent until proven guilty. It's like, it's true unless it's a lie. I mean, things are just what they are unless we try to alter them. It's on that end. You know, we do things on the back end. The paradoxical gospel or good news of Jesus Christ is backward. And in this sense of the insurance policy, it's like, well, I almost challenge you to think that it doesn't work and find out if it does. You don't even have to ask me. You just try it, you know? Taste and see. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Then the insurance policy is what festers inside you, what builds inside you. When you start to have faith, it's within you. The insurance policy is yourself, right? Don't believe me, bro. As I've said so many times, I mean it. And that doesn't make sense to some people. They're like, well, aren't you trying to give me information? Well, yes, I'm trying to give you information, truth apart from me. Truth is truth, whether I'm saying it or that guy or some girl across the continent somewhere else. Who cares? Truth is truth. Whether anybody says a single word or not, truth is still there. And that's our insurance policy. I'm just discussing things. I mean, I stand there over the field, you know, that's how most all the videos are under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company as of today's date. I'm in a baseball field or a soccer field and just standing there discussing things because they're just there and that's it. Like, I'm just pointing things out. I don't want some sales pitch. I'm just like, look, this is all the body does. Try to get it to do something else, you'll break a bone, you know, or you'll pinch off your blood vessels, or, you know, you won't be able to breathe, or you'll be sweating too much, like way more than normal is what I mean, you know, like you can't close your own jaw because you're oversized tops. Like, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm just teaching you how your body works, and I can tell you that. I used to word it like that at the beginning, you know, like, I'd say something like, we can't tell our bodies what to do. And I can tell you that, you know, because a lot of people think that they can just like overcome it with their mind. No, there's only truth. Your body's a mechanical machine. You didn't design it, right? We didn't design it. We can't decide it is an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast title. That's the whole thing is our insurance policy is we take our hands out of it. I insure myself by putting God first, right? And we can all have that be our own like phrase, our own saying. We can all put those words in our own mouth. That's how we ensure that things are good. Take ourselves out of it. That's how we cover ourselves, is knowing that we can't. And just aligning our lives to the best of what we can with the truth of God. Then no matter who's got a problem with what, you can't dispute truth. And I don't care to try to like push anything that's opposing truth anyway. So, you know, if you can dispute anything that we say, good. We were wrong, right? That's our insurance policy is we're just here to discuss things as they are. I'd rather be wrong than try to be right. But really the thing I'd rather do more than anything else is just have a life of truth, which can be very hard. But that's the point. That's why we have this company. That's our insurance policy. It's as simple as that, dude. I started at the beginning talking about how simple this is, you know? And that's the whole thing, is you don't have to come up with some grand idea out of your mind of a company to have where you think you've reinvented the wheel for the 40th time this afternoon. Everyone's got a new idea all the time. What we do under In the Image Clothing Company and how we ensure that it works, and this will be an eternal, never-changing, always valid company, In the Image Clothing Company, is we take it back to basics, you know? And there you go. God designed this earth to just function. I mean, he designed the seasons to just have their roles to play, and the animals to have their roles to play. You've got symbiotic relationships and all the other types of relationships that just work. There's a balance to things. And one of those things is Earth's gravity. There's a center line of the human body. Well, you place something man-made placed onto God's design of the human being, it's got to work for the body. That's our insurance policy is, we can't even decide anything and have it be valid, right? There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled We Have No Say. Things are just what they are. Things only work how they do. You want to decide that you just don't need to breathe oxygen anymore because you transcended? Try it. See what happens, right? Don't believe anything? Try it. And you know what I mean. I'm not trying to be mean there, but people really have those kind of delusional thoughts. There's only truth. I don't get to decide it. Nobody does, right? Nobody does except for the one who designed all of this. And in his image, the human body. Okay. And dogs are the same thing. That's what I'm saying. The insurance policy of what we do. Well, I talk about proper breeding. It's like, well, I say the phrase a mutt is a mutt. And sure, it sounds mean. But I also love mixed breeds. The dogs that are just there on the earth already. Yeah, they're beautiful, right? In the ways that they are. Some dogs are pretty gnarly, nasty looking. Seriously. But what I'm saying is, complications come from things if they're not done properly. I mean, yeah, that's our insurance policy is how would it be naturally? Because naturally, you have either a lion that's breeding with a lion, right? One male lion has sex with a female lion, and you have lion offspring. Or you have a tiger, one male tiger having sex with one female tiger, and then you have tiger offspring. That's just how it works. But then you can get this thing called a liger, which is a mix where, a lion and a tiger have sex, and they've created something that's not actually, if we can word it like this, and we can, it's not actually truthful, if that can be seen. It's not proper. It's not right. It's got complications and problems to it. So that's what I mean is our whole our whole company, all four sides of it, and all that we can do is just we're trying to align our will with God's. We're trying to have everything just be truth. We are always very imperfect. We're human beings, man. Don't hold us to a higher standard than we can reach, but we're trying to just have things be true, And so that's the thing is, any products we ever put out, it's like, well, shoot. I almost can't even just smoothly say all this because of how humbled I get by this, how much this hits me. We're not trying to come up with anything new. I talk about good brands that I like. Right here we've got some shoes from the brand Xero, Xero. These are the Denver canvas black. Size 11.5 because Evan Strong wears 11.5 in men's. This is what I'm talking about. Stuff like this. This is Xero Shoes insurance policy is their slogan. Living life feet first. Their insurance policy is let's not restrict something that we didn't design, the human feet. That's exact same thing. In the Image Clothing Company, we do clothing in all senses besides shoes, basically. Well, we'll see what happens, but we do clothing for sure, right? And that's so funny to say like that, just because we'll see. I got no idea the fullness of what all this will be yet, But same thing, it's like we allow the body to work. Like Xero Shoes, Xero, the brand. I don't have any affiliation with them as of today's date. One day, that'd be awesome if we end up doing it. I kind of feel like we will. I've been saying this since, a long time ago. Many, many months ago. But, look, here's the Denver leather black. Denver leather shoes by Xero. These are not black. The other ones are the Denver canvas black. But, I like Xero shoes, man. I buy them, right? Because of what they do, okay? That's their insurance policy, and that's why they sell shoes so well. That's what I mean. It's ensuring that they get good sales and that their company flourishes. The closer that they can get to zero, check that out, their name, restriction to the body. Well, to the feet specifically. They do it for the feet, right? They make shoes. Zero shoes, man. XERO. That's what I mean, though, right? That's how they ensure that their company just works and lasts, and that they have a good reputation, right? They're a reputable company. They're a trustworthy company. That's how they do that. That's their, if I'm saying it, right? That's their insurance policy. In this sense, is the same thing I'm saying for us in the Image Clothing Company. It's we allow the body to work, and you've always got a body. It's always got to be allowed to work. And so that ensures that if we make clothing that does that to the highest ability we can, we will always be selling products. Do you see what I mean? Then we always stay in business, if you will. Not that we're like a business, but kind of, right? That's just what it means, doing business, selling things. Yes, we sell products, dog products, okay, and human being clothing. Whatever else we get into as well, but at least those things for sure. Okay, that's the point of any products we'd have, is ensuring, if you will, that we can do all that we can through what we do in our designs of anything we ever sell under In the Image Clothing Company, to not restrict things that just only have one way they work, because they're always only going to have one way they work. Okay. This is what I mean. This is what it means to have an insurance policy, in the sense of what I'm discussing here, and why I'm having this episode at all, and I love it. This is so cool too. Man, we talk about it just as real as it is, being led by the Spirit, having the Spirit of God work through us. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled As a Vessel. And that's what we are. We're supposed to be a mouthpiece, a vessel, a hollow bone, if you will, like a tunnel, something like this. Worded like that, meaning allowing God to just flow through us with what he needs done. If we're trying to do our best, like I'm saying, what our insurance policy really, really boils down to is aligning our will with God's. This right here is a testament to, I don't sit here and try to plan out how exactly these episodes will go. It's not how it's been, at least up until this one. And that's just not how I work. I freestyle when I make music. When I make the videos under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, we'll have an hour-long video where I'm deeply discussing the anatomy of the body. And going into it, it's, Father, please guide me through this. Praying to God, saying, yeah, just please have this go how you need it to go. And that's our insurance policy. But what I'm saying specifically about this one episode 165 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Insurance Policy, is when I pressed record, and even when I was playing guitar in the intro, and however long into the intro before I, it was under video. I was already filming at the point that I changed from having the approach of, this is going to be titled Little But Often. I even said it. And then after that, I was like, oh, just kidding. We're not making that right now, at least. This is actually titled Insurance Policy. And so this is what I mean, is this is just real. That's what I say, blunt, bold, raw, real, In the Image Clothing Company, doing all that we can in all senses of everything to be authentic. The goal is natural. Naturally, we're just who God created us to be. That is our authentic self. That's our insurance policy, right? It's always on the back end. Taking our hands off of things ensures that God can do his work. That's the whole point. That's what it means to surrender. That's what it means to have faith. That's what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. A follower of God is, I'll go where you take me, because you know where to go. Always. Man, I'm emotional with this, man. Oh yeah, because this is what I mean, you know. This is what I mean too. This is part of what it means to be raw, real, blunt, bold in the Image Clothing Company is shouting people out. I've been talking about other companies without any compensation up until today's date, and no obligation on their end to ever give us any kind of compensation, right? I mean, that's really what we need to strive to do, and that's what I need to strive to do as the leader of this thing for at least my entire life. That's phrased in a cool way. At least my entire life. I need to try to do all that I can though to just just give information and I've phrased it before like give all my secrets away in the sense of not harbor information because I could use it for profit. Yeah, I mean that's what I need to always try to do. I'm trying, but just continually. Yeah. And really that word reminded me, pray continuously without ceasing. That's what we're commanded to do, and that's how we do this. That's how we ensure that our life will go well. Our insurance policy for life, and it's funny because I was gonna talk about that a little bit, with little but often, is saying little prayers often instead of just like saying one big prayer in the morning, for example, and going throughout your day. Nah, say little prayers throughout the entire day. But in the sense of being an insurance policy, that's how we ensure that we're going to be able to at least be trying to do all that we can to yeah, shoot. Yeah. I'm so emotional in a beautiful, heartwarming kind of way. That's how we're going to do all that we can to do all that we can, at least, right? To ensure that our life will go the best that it could. My mom's also right here outside this door. I can hear her. So, yeah. That's the real insurance policy. Anything else you could ever try to do, anything legal wise, anything trying to cover it by yourself, is God covers us, right? In the shelter of his wings is where we take cover, right? We ah, shoot. There's so many scriptures, man. God is our insurance policy. And really who God is the truth. Okay. So, remembering that we're imperfect, remembering that sometimes we're so set on we know exactly how it is when we're just wrong, doing all that we can to align our lives with truth. That's our insurance policy. And that's all you need. God will cover us always. His grace is sufficient. And yeah, there you go, man. Talk about an insurance policy. That's how I approach this is keep myself out of it. That ensures that my imperfect tinge doesn't like contaminate this more than it needs to. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm just a mouthpiece, man. I'm just here, in the best that I can at least, being that. Um, just delivering truth. Just giving all my secrets away. Just trying to do all that I can to be more open, more authentic, more real. That's how you ensure. Yeah. Like I'm saying, we crossed the threshold. I'm not trying to make some kind of big, like, self proclaimed declaration, but I'm making a declaration. I've been doing that lately. I've been doing it in the ways that I have since the very founding of In the Image Clothing Company. We've had instances where I've made declarations in ways of stuff like this. And I mean, it just is what it is. It's one of those things I couldn't even try to convince you of, right? That's what I mean. The insurance policy of, well, has he really crossed a threshold with this? Are things really taking off? It's like, look at it. Don't let me try to tell you something. Because I couldn't try to make it be one way or the other. It's just, you have your own ears, you know? He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Listen to what I'm saying. You got your own eyes if you do on either end, right? I mean, I get it. Some people can't hear, some people can't see, but Some people can't do either, I get that too, but I'm just saying, in all seriousness, like, don't take my word for it. My insurance policy is, you try it, okay? I mean it. Don't believe me. That is a phrase that I don't just like casually say to try to sound like some kind of good guy. It's like, no, please don't. Because sometimes I'm just saying stuff wrong. Don't believe anything I say. Take the truth within it if it's there. There you go. Truth is truth. That's the insurance. That's how you can ensure you'll never be misled, is do things work. Somebody can tell you all they want, but a lot of times people just talk stuff up and it's not actually what they're saying. Sometimes people will tell you they have all the fixes for you and then it doesn't work. God never stops working. Some beautiful Christian songs about that, and he's just always doing his thing. He's always orchestrating everything, and he's always just the same. He worked the same in the life of Evan Strong in 2025 on the 6th of October, me right now sitting on this bedroom carpet, as he did in the time of Noah, the time of Moses, the time of Abraham, and the time of Nephi in the Book of Mormon. Lehi, man, having that dream of the tree of the fruit of life. The fruit of eternal life. I mean, that's Jesus Christ, right? That's what that is. The tree of the fruit of eternal life that was white and pure and perfect, above any perfectness or whiteness that you could ever imagine. That's Jesus Christ. That's just the truth. In such a confusing, lost world, and people try to tell you how, their product's going to do this and do that for you. Well, how can I be sure? Well, you try it. Does it work? No? That's not true. Truth is truth. That's our insurance policy. And I assure you, out of every fiber of my being, if you do all that you can to call on the name Jesus Christ and try to do all that you can to learn of him and follow his teachings and his ways, then your life will go better than it ever could doing anything else that you could possibly try to do. Following anybody or anything else that you could ever possibly try to follow. I assure you, you will learn that everything is a false idol except for Jesus Christ, if you do all you can to actually see if that is the case. Put yourself aside and see, right? Taste and see. You can't judge something without tasting it, trying to decide if it tastes good or not, if you've never put it onto your taste buds. A lot of times we have ideas of what things are, but I assure you, if you really want to find out the truth in life, you'll find out that Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the life. And that's all we're trying to do here, is align things with God. That's our insurance policy. And I also purchased InTheImageClothingCompany.com, apparently on the 24th of September, 2024. Now, I remember because it was the night after, no, I think it was probably the night of, just probably past midnight. I didn't have really much money at the time, but I had this like temporary, like you can load money onto it type of like debit card in a sense. And I went over to the gas station and I paid for them. You pay like a little fee plus the money you want them to put on the card, and they put it on there. And it was like, the middle of the night. After I had filmed that day, let's give a little story. If this cuts, it was because it's storage space. I don't know exactly how much I have, but on the 23rd of September, 2024, I hadn't slept the night before. So I was up all night, and then it was just the morning of the 23rd, and I was walking around, and I had my little device, this one here, that I'm filming episode 165 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast with right now on the 6th of October, 2025. But I was walking around that day, 23rd of September, 2024, after not having slept the night before, because I started to realize, I need to really establish a name for this clothing company. Well, because there was a video that I filmed. It was about like a 3 minute something second long video where I just talked about how I'm going to make a clothing company. Just some things that are in clothing, just slightly tweaked, right? Things just a little bit better. The things that we really love about clothing, just, you know, only the good things, only the bare bones type of clothing. No logos, no branding on the exterior, simple, minimal, light, do everything clothing. And then a few days later, I was now at the 23rd of September, 2024. And these videos are both, at least as of right now, as of today's date, the 6th of October 2025, they're placed on the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Both those videos I was just talking about, meaning the founding video, and then that little short 3 minute something second video as well. But I was walking around 23rd of September 2024, and I walked over to the park. It's like 11 o'clock a.m., give or take. And I put my phone up on the soccer goal that I use as a tripod, right? I still do as of whenever I did it last. Today I went over there and I used one of those like pitching type net things at the baseball field that you can pitch from and then kind of duck behind so you don't get hit by the ball. It's as real as it gets. It's just about the truth within this. It's about getting the information out. That's the insurance policy, is ensuring I'm doing all I can to just speak things as they are, whether I'm sitting, in a clinic behind a desk, whether I'm in a professional studio for an In The Image Clothing Company podcast episode, whether whatever, and whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's just about, well, what's the truth? That's what we try to do there. That's how we ensure that it matters at all. It's the only way it does matter at all, and anything anyone ever says at all, period. But I went over to the park and I filmed a video. It's about I don't know if it was about 11 minutes, 17 minutes. I don't know. Like I'm saying, if it's still there, it's still there. It is as of me saying this right now on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. And that was our founding video. And I was talking about, we'll have podcasts and meetups and, like movement type walks, which, now, for sure, at least poodle parade events under In The Image Clothing Company, poodles is what we could call those movement walks. And I just knew this stuff was going to happen. I just didn't know exactly how to say it. That's what I'm saying, right? When I was saying earlier how at the beginning I was talking about things at the very start of all this, like a year ago, around that time, from today's date back in 2024, I was saying things correct. I just didn't know exactly how to word everything. And I didn't know it in quite the depth that I just did and in any time going forth when I learned more about it, because that's just how that works, right? But that's what I mean, I filmed that video and then I was like, oh shoot, okay. Well, I guess I better actually like purchase this name because I don't want anybody else to steal this. And so then it was like the middle of the night, that night on the 23rd, and probably past midnight, right? Because it would have been the 24th then of September 2024. Yeah, this is how it all went. This is what I'm saying. I've never documented this, quite laying the story out like this exactly as I am now. I've talked about some of this, how it started at the founding, but yikes, so I put some money on that card at the gas station. I came back home and yeah, I just looked up like how to purchase a domain name, right? Because I just wanted it to be as simple as it could, keeping everything simple. It's like, well, so now the name from that morning, that I established, and then I went and filmed the video, our founding video, is In The Image Clothing Company. That's awesome. So what does it need to be? Because I don't know how to make a website at that time. I didn't really know much of anything about it. I'm still new to this stuff. It's been a year since then, and a little over a year as of right now, and I'm still just learning it as I go. I still don't really know all that much about building a website or anything. Selling things online or shipping things. I'll just have to learn it as I go. But I was like, In The Image Clothing Company. What does it have to be? Is it a .com? And then, I just kind of made sure that's how we were going to do it. And I purchased it. I didn't know where to purchase it from. Did a little bit of research and I just wanted to make sure I purchased it because of what I'm saying here. That's our insurance policy is, I at least legally owned something as of the 24th of September, 2024, that is our company name. just so it's documented. I've been doing stuff since at least when I knew, and that's what I knew that day is like, I need to make this at least like a legal documentation, like out there publicly on the internet, something I've paid for, like set in stone. I've at least in some form been operating as Evan Strong under In the Image Clothing Company, this 5-word name, since the 24th of September 2024. Right? That's what that paper there that I showed here and that I'm talking about is, proof of, truly. That's what I mean. That's why I did it, is insurance. That's really why I did it. Because we still haven't even had InTheImageClothingCompany.com be constructed yet, right? Where I have our main site of In the Image Clothing Company placed on the internet, I have under like the description of what we are, InTheImageClothingCompany.com, and then in parentheses under construction, right? Because we only need to do what we need to do by the time we need to do it. And it's true, bro. What all this has become as of today's date, the 6th of October, 2025, with no website, no products. These things are all yet, right? No products to be sold. No, that means no human being clothing, no dog products, no poodles at all yet. No team members. I've not made a single penny, meaning no currency, no compensation of any monetary value type, period. Yet this has become all that it is in the little over a year that we've had this, and it's huge. So this is what I mean is you align your will with God's, and you don't have to have all the money right at the beginning. You don't have to have all the plans of exactly how it's going to go in your own mind right at the beginning. You don't even have to know really what exactly you're doing, but just know you got to take a step. God will give us little tidbits at a time, right? In the Book of Mormon, it says line upon line, precept upon precept. I think that's in the Book of Mormon. If not, within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that's the thing. We get revealed things to by God, just one little tiny thing at a time. Okay, we take a step. He gives us instruction on the next step. We take that one, and sometimes that's how it is. And the next thing you know, you've reached the top of the mountain. Next thing you know, you're a little over a year into In the Image Clothing Company, and you've got many, many, many hundreds of videos. And your body, as the founder, if I'm just speaking for myself, right, Evan Strong. Yes, I am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. My body has been entirely transformed. I mean, just the way that I'm able to move, and that's the whole point, is allowing the body to work, right? Anyway, this is what I mean. Insurance policy, it's God. Jesus the Christ, our living, ever-present, one and only universal God. That is the insurance policy, period and done. And then I can try to do some things along the way to serve him. But regardless, he's still the truth. Regardless, he's still the covering. That's it. All right, so what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Welcome. Insurance policy. So there you go, man. It's like that phrase, the proof is in the pudding. It's like, well, I don't know exactly where that comes from, but how I see that is, does it taste good? Well, try it. You'll be able to be proven it to if you taste it and it is good. But then again, it's biblical, right? Taste and see that the Lord is good. It's the same thing as saying the fruits of the labor. You don't have to believe nothing, brother, but you can ensure that this fruit didn't just pop out of thin air. Somebody had to do the work, put the labor in behind the scenes, dig the hole, plant the seed, water it, let it start to grow, right? Prune it and fertilize it, take care of it until the fruit grew, and there you go. You can ensure that fruit didn't just come out of nowhere, but you can ensure there's a lot that had to happen behind the scenes first. And so if there's fruit there, where'd it come from? You can ensure that Somebody did something to make that happen, and it worked. That's what I mean. Fruits of the labor, you can't deny it. There's fruit there. Where else would it come from? And the fruit in this case is, again, the things that we do here, they work because they work. Don't believe me? Try it. That's the insurance, right? So there you go. If I get through this, I get through this. If I get cut off, it's storage space on this device here will have run out at that point if that was what happened. But let's talk about it. Okay, each of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. This one here, now. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. Big and bold. Making some claims, are you? No. Telling you how it is, though, and I didn't get to decide it. Okay, 165 episodes as of this one. We've got In the Image Clothing Company's main side. We allow the body to work. I talked about how the body has a center line. I mentioned the things that are there. There is a neutral to every joint, like the neutral wrist, right? Rotations within the body have neutrals from internal and external. There's 2 feet down at our base foundation supporting our bodies, okay? And they oppose the center line. They grip arches inward. So, clothing placed on us, it has to just let our bodies work. And we talk about everything, though. Eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, just everything we do in our lives. And we do it for dogs as well. Under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. A lot of free modifications, though, we give in clothing to allow the body to work. And I just discussed the anatomy in such depth, even just the body itself when we don't talk about clothing, but just how the body works, how it would if it was never altered at all. We talk about how we live in a right-handed world. And 85%, give or take, of the population of the whole earth of human beings are right-handed. Even, products designed to be used with one hand over, two-hand usage. If it's just for one hand, it'll almost always be used for the right hand. Clothing patterns themselves are essentially right-handed. Clothing will fall off to our dominant side, and that's the right hand for about 85% of human beings on the earth. The musculature of our body connects from the shoulder to the sternum in the center and the front on both sides, and from the shoulder to the spine in the rear on both sides. And similar things with all the musculature in the body. It only contracts, meaning getting shorter, and it has to come to the center line. And then we're vertical on Earth's center of gravity, okay? Now, there's clothing nowadays that is made out of unnatural materials that are only decades old as of today's date. And things like stretch can come with that goes the opposite direction of the only way that muscles could ever work, okay? Stretching the body is damaging. There's only a neutral. You stretch too far to one side and you're just too far to one side. You stretch too far to the other side, you're just too far to the other side. The body has to reside in its neutrals, and then it just has motions on either side, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. I've said that in this, now, if you've heard this. There you go. Okay, that's a lot of what we do on In the Image Clothing Company's main side. And then we'll have clothing that's always just good. It just stays centered, fits correct, where I'll discuss here if I get to, but without getting cut off, right? And is made from 100% natural materials because the human body's natural, neutral, normal, synonyms within the human being, and just what we discuss about God. Things just are what they are until we come in and potentially alter them greatly. Okay, and they don't work correct because we didn't design them, so we can't decide how they work. It all just lines up. Truth is truth. Isn't that amazing? Like, seriously? Yes, is the answer. I don't care what you have to say. If it opposes God, and that's me speaking to myself, looking in this monitor as well as whoever else heard it. Okay, so we have In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, letting dogs stay natural. Like I said, in this, right, the same thing as allowing the body to work through feeding, hydration, whatever else it is, through dogs being in a modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. Okay, slippery flooring, flat flooring, their joints and bones in their body can be really altered, and their feet and their whole body in a lot of ways can actually be very altered by things like that, right? Tile, wood, and stuff, okay? Poodle parade events in the state of Utah here, the United States of America. Bring your purebred poodles of any size and or poodle mixes of any size. We'll have a lot of poodle parade events where we just have fun, kind of like a big family reunion, just hanging out, hikes in the mountains, at parks, just hanging out, in waterways, things like Clean the Creek specific poodle parade events where we actually help the environment by cleaning up trash, okay? Whatever it is, I'll give information on letting dogs stay natural, but we talk about interacting with our dogs as well, okay? Holding leashes naturally and keeping collars, leashes, harnesses, and things placed onto dogs centered, because like our tops, as human beings, there's musculature going through our collars. Our tops need to stay centered as well. One of our free modifications in the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, one of the biggest things you'll ever do for your body. Seriously. But it's very small, right? The little things. An episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but they mean the biggest, if you can word it like that. They usually have the biggest impact in our lives, over the big things even. Yes. So we have another fourth of us, which is In the Image Clothing Company music. I didn't even really realize that I was saying that at that time. I didn't even realize I was talking about In the Image Clothing Company music when I started the beatbox there, but I do a lot of lyricism, okay? Rap, rhythm, and poetry, if you will. Spoken word, off the top type of stuff, freestyling. I show sizing and setup of guitars to not alter things like the neutral wrist when we play. Guitars are usually way too big for the body, okay? You should never have to massage out your hands, forearms, shoulders, wrists, and then all the way down to your feet, right? Your whole body gets damaged if you're just doing little things with your fingers that aren't letting them track in line. There's only truth, bro. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Right? So, there you go, bro. In the Image Clothing Company music. So, I do a lot with beatboxing, with lyricism. I'm a rapper, like, truly, in all seriousness. I've been shying away from saying that for the past while. Part of it was I was dating this girl, and I didn't think she would, like, take so kindly to me being this rapper, so I started to change my approach to making music, even though I used to actually make rap songs, and that's where I sit with music. Authentically. Darn. Talk about trying to please people over pleasing God. That'll lead you to hell. And it did for me. I removed my records from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints after that for about 13 months. And I came back, right? We talk about it under In the Image Clothing Company podcast the second time around. And that's the episode where I explained that. It was a ride, dude. But good learning experience, bro. So clothing for everybody has to sit in the same location. Pants need to be entirely above the hips at what's called our natural waist, where we bend side to side at our spine, above the hips, but below those lowest ribs. With our pant waistline there, our hips aren't altered. They need to be slightly higher in the front than the rear, that waistband angle. That's how we keep our musculature activated and our joints in a neutral position, okay, just vertical on Earth's gravity. Tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders. They need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders because our shoulders only ever work behind our head, and our shoulders follow shoulder seams, okay? The edges of our tops should sit just right at the edge of our shoulders. It's a joint of material as well as a joint of the shoulder. It needs to be in the same location if we can get it to be, okay, as close as we can. Two things we have as prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company to not alter the body. Ropes being weaved across the top of the feet is what we call shoe laces. See? Talk about it off the tempo, bro. Stop and let go. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelacing techniques, the only way you can weave a rope across the feet, there's a lot of bones, muscles, tendons, and ligaments going in there, creating arches that grip inward and keep us vertical, opposing the center line on Earth's gravity. We tie shoes as well. We have to tie shoes evenly on both sides of the body, okay, over toward the center line, because there is one. Otherwise, you rotate your whole body with knots with just one side of a rope over the other. Don't do that. I did it till I was 24 years old. That's what I've had to do, getting out of these chronic patternings and scar tissue caused by a rope twisting my body. Secondly, to shoelacing, our other prerequisite under In the Image Clothing Company is removing all tags. Anywhere a tag is placed in clothing, it's just causing either a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate, and then the body's very damaged. Okay, no compensation can happen. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Sup, y'all? I love that. So there you go, brother. Insurance policy. That's our intro, right? What I did there at the end of this. Man, I don't know if it's the end for sure. I was kind of speeding up at I didn't know if it was gonna cut off or not, and it might. I'm gonna grab a little red guitar here, little Johnson JG610R, 3/4 size with nylon strings. I'll play something, just kind of mess around. If I get cut off, I do. If I talk for another hour, then cool. Who knows? Because I don't. Thank you. I'm going to go on a walk and listen to this back and just sit here and bask in the fact that I've got a God who's perfect, and for some reason he's searching for me, and I'm just a kid, a little human being who's doing things really wrong a lot of the time, and I'm trying to be a better person, but I spent a lot of my life searching in the wrong places to be the kind of person I need to be, and I wasn't looking for him or he, Jesus the Christ, and I'm the person at fault, the person who dug myself a grave and put me into a place that I ended up being a slave to myself, trying to make things be what I thought they could be in a life full of a lot of human beings doing the same thing. My insurance policy is that God insures me that no matter what I try to do, he's in charge. And I can charge my way straight to hell trying to do things on my own, or I can lay belly up like a little surrendered lizard out there just drying out in the heat of the sun. But that's the thing I need, is the Son of God, Jesus Christ, to help me get back home and have eternal life. An eternal perspective will let me understand things that are just what they are and not what they seem. Living in a man-made modern 2025 and going forth, a lot of things make us feel like life is just a sport, something to play to win, and I don't want to be playing again. I want to be out of this game and just serving God in all the ways I can, trying to be less of the man and understanding that I'm just that little lizard. Need someone to come over and flip me back on my feet when I think that I can do things and I don't know what I'm doing. Moving in directions that are worse when I'm trying to do the best thing that I know how to out of my own understanding of things. Leaning on my own understanding just leaves me in the past like the fall time. I just lay there a while in a cold world until the springtime comes around and I spring back up on my feet because of someone else who pulled me up from underneath those seas. I've been given a gift to be able to speak well. Put myself in jail if I shut my mouth. A giver of perfect gifts, he doesn't make mistakes. Surrendering to Jesus Christ and his perfect will is the only way your life will change.